Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. And sometimes I feel silly asking you about Conor McGregor, but he is right there. He is, and you're still in the title picture. So why would you be thinking about Conor McGregor? But it would be a really fun fight. I know you've wanted it in the past. So,
Yeah, it'd be a fun fight. I mean, getting one back against everybody who got one over me would be awesome. So, yeah, thank you. I don't think he can make 55. I don't think he wants to, but we can fight whatever weight he wants. I want to get down back. It'd be a fun fight, I think. Conor's not gonna shoot. I hope so, not. But never say never.
Conor McGregor is in a very unique spot because of the success that he has previously had. We are questioning how good is Conor today. We're questioning how good can he be today. He's coming off a catastrophic injury. Many people forget that. His leg is broken in two. He then does 6 years on the shelf. So we question how good he is, but we've got to operate under the assumption that he's pretty damn good, considering he won an interim and undisputed and went 30 minutes with Floyd. Like, we have to assume, based on what he's...
In the unpredictable world of mixed martial arts, timing isn't just about landing a counter left hand. It's about knowing exactly when the machine needs you the most. Conor McGregor is currently executing a masterclass in leverage, sitting comfortably on the sidelines while the UFC seemingly scrambles to maintain its momentum. As the promotion navigates a landscape desperate for a massive, undeniable blockbuster, McGregor is watching the fire burn, knowing full well that chaos only drives his asking price higher. The Irish superstar has always possessed an almost supernatural sense of timing, both inside the octagon and in the boardroom. From his meteoric rise in 2015 to the billion-dollar success of McGregor versus Mayweather, he has repeatedly shown that being in the right place at the right moment can outweigh raw skill or consistent training. Right now, the UFC finds itself in a precarious position. Pay-per-view numbers have been inconsistent, several planned marquee fights have fallen through, and the organization is under pressure to deliver a July event.
Whoa!
I mean, did he just say like the Conor and the Gary, both of them?
Conor
or
and Gary fight.
But he did say Conor Gary fight. Yeah.
Yes, which is an amazing fight.
If they did actually Conor and dude, that'd be insane. But didn't he just say? Could it not be?
He said
just,
he didn't say Conor and Gary. He said Conor Gary.
I know, but if he's just talking like the Conor,
I don't
Gary,
know,
yeah,
dude. He said the Conor Gary fight. He didn't say Conor and Gary won't fight in Ireland. He said the Conor Gary fight won't happen in Ireland.
If that was a slip, then that's an actual real slip.
Love it.
If that's legit. So hopefully that is the actual Conor fight. That would be freaking...
That's why they're not calling him, huh?
Yeah. And then this also appeared too.
Ooh, it's all lining up, y'all.
Conor McGregor officially cleared for UFC return, completing 18-month ban.
Let's go.
So, I mean, it's heading in that direction, I guess.
Now that can truly move the needle globally. McGregor, fresh off his legal battles and personal controversies, understands this vulnerability better than anyone. By remaining non-committal while dropping subtle hints on social media, he forces the UFC into a reactive posture. Every week that passes without a confirmed headliner increases the promotional anxiety, and with it, the potential payout McGregor can demand. This isn't arrogance, it's calculated business. The notorious one has built an empire on understanding that scarcity creates value. When the UFC is drowning in mediocrity and fan fatigue, his return becomes oxygen. We're breaking down why the notorious one might be the greatest beneficiary of perfect timing in the history of combat sports. From rewriting contract structures to reshaping how fighters approach negotiations, McGregor's current strategy reveals a deeper truth. In modern MMA, the fighter who controls the narrative and the calendar often wields more power than the champion wearing the belt. This masterclass in patience and positioning could redefine what it means to be a combat sports superstar in the streaming era, where attention is the ultimate currency and only a handful.
55 is looking really busy at the top, so we'll see what happens. I don't know what guys they want to send my way, but like I said, man, before the fight I was talking about it. I mean, Conor's there, you know. Conor got one over me. He's talking about coming back. I'm coming off a loss. I mean, it looked pretty fun to get down back, you know, with him. So we'll see what happens. I know a lot of people are worried about the weight and this and that, but if he doesn't want to cut weight, then I don't want to cut weight. We can do it at any weight, to be honest. It's just about getting it back, you know. So at the end of the day, that'll be a fun fight, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what way UFC wants to go, and that's all we can do, you know. Like I said, I got a bunch of things that I need to talk to my team, my family members. with my doctors too. So we're figuring all that out. But hey, man, you know, sign me up, man. If 55 is kind of busy right now, we don't know who to pit. I know Conor keep talking about coming back. That'd be a fun fight, you know. That fight really excites me, and weight wouldn't be an issue.
Holloway, widely regarded as one of the most skilled and durable fighters of his generation, has never been one to chase easy money or bend principles. His willingness to throw out decades of established weight class protocol speaks volumes about the perceived value of a McGregor fight. For a fighter who has built his legacy on heart, volume striking, and respect for the sport's traditions, this concession is extraordinary. It suggests that even elite competitors recognize that facing McGregor isn't just another bout. It's a career-defining, financially transformative opportunity that can elevate their brand overnight. The UFC's tacit acceptance of this flexibility further proves the point. In any other scenario, such a request would likely be dismissed or heavily scrutinized for health and fairness reasons. But when McGregor is involved, traditional rules appear negotiable. This special treatment underscores how drawing power now officially overrides divisional integrity in the eyes of the promotion. We analyze how Holloway's willingness to bend the sacred structural rules of the sport proves that McGregor operates in a completely different universe. It also highlights the psychological impact McGregor has on the roster.
Max is a very smart guy. All the talk was, oh, you lost the belt. Charles isn't getting that Conor fight after that fight. I don't even think Conor wants a BMF title. I think Max is trying to tell us something there. And I would put him with Nate out. It feels to me like he's trying to tell us, like, this is what I want. And I don't think he's talking if things aren't happening behind the scenes. And so that's what I feel by reading all of this. But as PT said, and as I said, these talks are going well. And I think they're going well because the UFC recognizes, hey, we need to make this happen. And we'll get into the John Jones stuff in a second as well. But I feel like we're trending in the right direction to that return. And this will feel like, what will it feel like? What's the perfect example for feeling good about life? Like, it'll feel like what? Like, what is it? A Mai Tai?
Fighters who once focused solely on climbing rankings are now openly positioning themselves for the biggest possible payday, even if it means compromising on weight or competitive balance. This dynamic creates a fascinating ripple effect. Younger prospects watching from afar learn that merit and consistency may no longer be the fastest path to stardom. Personality, marketability, and the ability to generate buzz can accelerate careers far more effectively. Max Holloway's public concession isn't just about one potential fight. It's a window into how Conor McGregor has permanently altered the incentive structure of professional MMA. Is Max Holloway trying to tell us something from behind the scenes? Following his spectacular victory, Holloway's specific callouts and apparent lack of interest in defending the BMF title against standard contenders suggest the gears are already turning for a mega fight with Conor McGregor. Fighters are masters at reading the room. They understand the politics of the UFC better than most casual fans ever will. When a champion like Holloway deliberately avoids committing to logical next steps and instead plants seeds for a high-profile, non-title clash, it's rarely accidental. Analysts believe Holloway wouldn't be laying this groundwork if negotiations for a McGregor bout weren't actively progressing in the UFC war rooms. Every strategically timed social media...
I feel like we've been kind of talking about it, but I think the significant reality is, let's say Conor McGregor is coming back in July. That is fantastic for the UFC, no doubt in my mind. But I think the bigger issue, rather than card construction, rather than who's headlining, is ticket prices.
Oh, yeah.
The prices of these cards are not commensurate with what they're delivering. And I don't think you can solve that just... The Conor McGregor ticket prices are going to be astronomical. And the UFC is going to try to capitalize on Conor McGregor's return in a way that is pricing out fans who just want to come and watch UFC events, want to come and watch these fights. I don't think that the problem was necessarily that, like, people didn't want to show out for Lerone Murphy or MVP or anybody else who was on this card. The problem is that they were too expensive for the people that truly wanted to go. And I don't think this is a new thing for the UFC. I'm talking to people who are in this local area, who I know very well, who are interested in going to the New Jersey card, and the ticket prices are too high for them to go. I don't know if just stacking the deck...
It's a WWE problem too. I'm hearing about this in WWE, right? With WrestleMania tickets and whatnot. People are complaining about this, so...
Historically, weight classes existed for a reason: fairness, safety, and competitive balance. Fighters were expected to make the walk at the agreed-upon limit or face consequences. McGregor's refusal to drain his body for a difficult weight cut, combined with the UFC's apparent willingness to simply accept it, proves that traditional sporting regulations no longer apply when $100 million are on the line. This development speaks to McGregor's extraordinary leverage. At this stage of his career, he understands his body better than anyone. He has publicly stated his unwillingness to endure the brutal dehydration and starvation that defined his earlier title runs. Rather than risk injury or poor performance, he is forcing the promotion to meet him on his terms, welterweight or catchweight bouts that protect his health while still delivering the star power the UFC craves. We break down how McGregor's refusal to drain his body for a weight cut, and the UFC's willingness to simply accept it, proves that traditional sporting regulations no longer apply when massive revenue is at stake. This sets a dangerous precedent. If one fighter can bypass weight requirements due to high market value, what message does that send to the rest of the roster? Will other stars begin demanding similar accommodations? The 170-pound dictator narrative also raises questions.
Guys, I'm very confident of this. I spoke to Conor myself. Adi Atara went and had a meeting, a face-to-face sit-down with the UFC, because it got to the point where Conor's side is saying, hey, do you guys not think we're serious? Or is it you guys aren't serious? There's a little confusion here over the telephone. Let's talk, right? Conor's coming back. I think it's important that you understand up front, not just that Conor's not going to fight Michael Chandler, but why Conor's not going to fight Michael Chandler. Now, look, the UFC has a brand promise. And like any great company, they will stick to that promise in good times and in bad. When you're selling out arenas, when COVID hits and you can't do it in front of everybody, you got to stick to that promise. And the UFC does. Now, how does that pertain to Conor? Conor McGregor is in a very unique spot because of the success that he has previously had. We are questioning how
about fighter health and long-term well-being. While McGregor's stance may protect him in the short term, it challenges the foundational principles that made MMA a legitimate sport. The UFC now finds itself in the awkward position of prioritizing entertainment economics over the integrity of its own rulebook. While the MMA world debates who Conor McGregor will fight next, a much darker, systemic issue is rotting the foundation of the sport: the astronomical, predatory cost of attending a live event. The return of McGregor isn't being used as a celebration of the sport. It's being weaponized to justify absurd ticket price inflation. Fans who once packed arenas for $50 to $100 tickets now face nosebleed seats starting at $300 to $400 and ringside options exceeding $1,000 or more. This aggressive pricing strategy, especially surrounding a McGregor card, transforms what was once an accessible, working-class spectacle into an exclusive luxury experience. Hardcore fans, the ones who supported the UFC through lean years, bought every PPV, and filled regional shows, are increasingly priced out.
So if we're going to stick to the brand promise and we're going to bring in Conor McGregor, who we identify as very good, and by the way, we do know to be a main eventer. We know that we're going to put him in a main event. Then we must put him, and basically you could choose, by the way, guys, I'm going to say 1 through 6. You could even go 1 through 8. Pick anybody you want to do. Della Manalena makes a lot of sense. I think that Ian Gary was more than a Freudian slip. I think that there's some real traction and some real legs to that. I don't think the idea of Islam and title fights is going to happen. I don't believe that Max is going to bump up and we're going to pay one off for history's sake. I think Conor is likely to be put into a spot, and I'll use Anderson Silva as a great example, who is the best fighter in the world, the champion of the world, had the exact same catastrophic leg injury, attempted to make a comeback. And it was an interesting position because Anderson was great, and Anderson had the rankings, and he had the name, he had the meaning, and he was a main event guy. But he wasn't a main event pay-per-view guy.
And high roller packages take precedence over the die-hard supporters who understand the sport's nuances and create the electric atmosphere that makes events special. This shift risks long-term damage to the fan base. When loyalists feel alienated and replaced by casual, wealthier attendees who are there for the spectacle rather than the sport, the unique culture of MMA begins to erode. The McGregor return, instead of being a unifying moment, becomes another example of how the promotion prioritizes profit over community. The real crisis isn't just ticket prices, it's the philosophical change in how the UFC views its audience. By leaning into premium pricing tied to star power, the company is betting that volume of casual fans and high-spending tourists can replace the passionate core that sustained the sport for decades. Conor McGregor's return solves one massive, immediate problem for Dana White. It guarantees an event that feels larger than life and delivers strong pay-per-view numbers. But what it doesn't solve is the underlying disconnect growing between the UFC and its fan base. The promotion has increasingly relied on star-driven cards to mask deeper issues with live event accessibility and overall value perception. Deploying McGregor is merely a temporary band-aid masking the systemic problem of skyrocketing costs and diminishing returns for average fans. By leaning entirely on star power to justify inflated ticket prices and pay-per-view costs, the UFC is ignoring the fundamental value proposition of the sport, high-level competition that fans can afford to experience. We analyze how this strategy risks long-term fan loyalty for a quick, spectacular cash grab. While McGregor's presence can spike short-term revenue, it does little to address the growing sense that the UFC has lost touch with its roots. Fans who once felt like part of a movement now feel like customers in a premium entertainment product they can no longer comfortably afford. This band-aid approach also affects fighter development. When the biggest financial rewards are tied to fighting McGregor rather than earning titles through consistent performances, the incentive structure of the sport becomes distorted. Younger fighters learn that marketability matters more than merit, potentially discouraging the grind that produces truly elite talent, and move numbers without McGregor's gravitational pull. While there are talented champions and contenders, few possess the crossover appeal, charisma, or narrative depth that turns casual sports fans into buyers. We analyze how this dependency on one man creates vulnerability. What happens when McGregor is no longer willing or able to return? The organization may find itself scrambling to rebuild audience engagement from the ground up. The current strategy of stacking cards with multiple title fights has not proven sufficient to replace the cultural phenomenon that McGregor represents. This shift also affects how fighters approach their careers. Knowing that the brand alone may not be enough, athletes increasingly focus on building personal brands through social media, controversy, and entertainment value, sometimes at the expense of pure athletic focus. The loss of the UFC draw is more than a marketing issue. It reflects deeper challenges in maintaining the sport's mainstream relevance in a fragmented media landscape. If you are still looking for pure athletic meritocracy in the UFC's matchmaking, you are looking in the wrong era. The handling of the lightweight and welterweight pictures surrounding Conor McGregor's return is the final nail in the coffin for traditional sports logic. We dive into the frustrating acceptance among hardcore fans and analysts that the UFC now operates strictly as an entertainment spectacle. Winning fights and climbing rankings simply cannot compete with the ability to generate viral controversy and pay-per-view buys. This reality has been building for years, but McGregor's looming return crystallizes it more clearly than ever. Matchmaking decisions that once followed a logical progression, contenders earning shots through victories, now bend around the financial gravity of one fighter. Divisions are put on hold, champions are asked to wait or accept catchweight bouts, and rising prospects see their paths altered because the promotion prioritizes the biggest possible gate and by rates. This shift cements the reality that show business has officially conquered the sport. While merit still matters inside the cage on fight night, it often takes a back seat when determining who gets the spotlight, the biggest purses, and the career-changing opportunities. Fighters who master the art of self-promotion and narrative creation now enjoy advantages that pure athletes struggle to match. We explore how this evolution affects the psychology of the roster. Young fighters entering the UFC today must balance training with personal branding, media engagement, and controversy generation if they hope to reach the financial heights once reserved for champions. The death of meritocracy doesn't mean talent is irrelevant, but it does mean that talent alone is no longer sufficient for maximum success. McGregor's return accelerates this trend, making it impossible to ignore. The sport that once prided itself on being the purest test of combat skill has fully embraced its identity as premium entertainment, where the ability to sell tickets and generate headlines often outweighs win-loss records. The gravitational pull of Conor McGregor is so immense that it actively distorts the careers of fighters who aren't even scheduled to face him. As the UFC keeps its options open and bends its own rules to accommodate his timeline, legitimate number one contenders are left stranded in purgatory. We explore how the mere possibility of a McGregor fight stalls divisions, forces champions to beg for catchweight bouts, and completely paralyzes the traditional flow of the sport. Rising stars who have earned title shots through hard-fought victories find their momentum halted while the promotion waits to see if McGregor will return and who he might choose as an opponent. This ripple effect extends far beyond the immediate matchup. Entire weight classes enter a holding pattern, matchmaking becomes reactive rather than strategic, and fighters lower on the card watch opportunities evaporate because resources and marketing focus shift toward the McGregor circus. It's a fascinating look at how one man's leverage can hold an entire multi-billion-dollar organization and the careers of dozens of athletes hostage to his decisions. The situation also creates awkward dynamics among the roster. Fighters must balance respect for McGregor's accomplishments with frustration over how his presence or absence disrupts their own career trajectories. Some publicly campaign for the fight, others quietly resent the delay, and many simply try to stay ready for whatever opportunity eventually emerges. This distortion reveals the double-edged nature of having a true superstar in a sport with limited slots for major events. While McGregor elevates the entire ecosystem when he fights, his shadow can also suppress the organic development of other talents. The UFC must carefully manage these ripple effects if it hopes to maintain competitive balance and fighter morale while still capitalizing on the massive financial upside McGregor provides.